All right. I think we are live. If you're in our back studio, can you hear me right now? Give me a thumbs up. I can see you all. Oh, we can hear me. Welcome everyone. Welcome internet. Welcome all of our guests to the Feature Flag Super Stream. Thank you so much for being here. We've already got 20 viewers up on the screen that are here to watch the stream. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Andrew. I'm really excited to be your host for today's stream, and to kind of kick things off. So in just a minute, you're going to get introduced to all of our amazing guests that represent all of my new Feature Flag friends from around the world. But before we do that, I just kind of want to give a rundown on how things are going to work on the stream today. This is both for you who are watching at home, but also is for all of the folks that are actually in our back room, because we have 15 people that are going to be on this stream today. So it is like we're pushing the limits of what we can do here. So let me pull up my docs here. All right, here we go. So I think I already did this one, but I didn't throw up the card. So let me throw this card up. Welcome to the Feature Flag Super Stream officially. Why are we here? We're here because of this idea. And I hadn't heard this term before, but I really love it. This idea, different companies, same team. We are all here because we love feature flags. You should love feature flags too. And we wanted to come together as a community of feature flag vendors, companies, representatives from around the world to talk to y'all about feature flags and kind of the past, present, and future of what these are all about. So that's really why we're here. But we're also here to answer your burning questions about feature flags. So I am positive that there are some things that you've just been looking through blogs to try and find that you haven't been able to do that. And now is the time. We have got founders, we've got developer advocates, we've got integration, God, I'm getting job titles, but it's okay. Y'all can introduce yourselves in just a minute. But we have got so many great people from all different walks of feature flag life that are here today to be able to answer your questions. So if you want to ask some questions, there's a couple ways to do that. First thing you can do is actually ask your questions over on X, where we're streaming live on the OpenFeature channels. You can also ask questions over on YouTube, where we're also over on the OpenFeature channels, where you're potentially watching this. Or you can also, and I'm going to have this banner going throughout most of the day, or most of the stream, is going to be a way to submit questions anonymously. So I've got a Google form that's set up that you can submit questions. I'll be watching that kind of throughout the stream. Yeah, so that's going to kind of be the way that it's going to work. We've got kind of 6 central themes we're going to talk about today. I've named them really dumb things, and hopefully you all enjoy the dumbness that I've created with these names. So we're going to talk about sort of like flag fundamentals. We're going to have some fun with like some basic feature flag questions. We've got toggle tactics, feature flow, switch strategy. Yes, I found all of the different synonyms that I could. We're going to talk about some flag fables and foibles, some flagging finesse. All of these things are going to be covered today. And then, of course, your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them as they come in. But also, we'll have some time at the end of the stream. So like about 20 minutes before the end of the stream, that's just your space to kind of ask all of the questions that you might have around feature flagging for our guests. So I've got that up there. We've got the Q&A stuff covered. I also just want to do one final thank you and shout out to the OpenFeature team for allowing us to be here and stream from sort of this vendor agnostic space today. There'll be more about OpenFeature, I'm sure, kind of as things go on, but thanks to OpenFeature for hosting. And then a final thank you again to all of the folks that have agreed to be on this stream. When I tweeted about this like 3 weeks ago, I figured 2 people would answer me and we do a fun little stream together. And now we're pushing the limits of this platform, which is really exciting. So the great thing about this too is that because we've got so many people, I actually have my production manager, my stream producer, Taranay, who's behind the scenes controlling all of the magic that's going to be happening today on the stream. And so huge shout out to Taranay for helping to make all of this happen today. And I think with that, Terene, I think we're ready to go over to our introduction round so that y'all that are here are not just staring at an Andrew. You can stare at other people and start having some conversations. Yeah, we got lots of great questions in here. Yeah, Terene, let's start pulling up maybe our first like 5 other people. Yeah, let's grab. So Chris, we're going to bring on Chris. Are we going to bring them in order, Terene? All right, let's bring on Chris. Do we want to bring on all 5, Terene? Just do an introduction with the group? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're bring on Tor, bring on Zoltan, bring on Graham. Then maybe bring on Mike and Matt. Is that? Oh, there we go. This is good. Let's start with this. How's it going, everybody?
Hey.
Amazing.
Pretty good.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here. So I sent kind of the doc before, but I just wanted this to be an opportunity for y'all to introduce yourselves, where you work, what you do, and then answer a kind of a fun question. I want an icebreaker today. And so sort of in addition to your introduction, the question is, what is the one dev tool that you have on your device that you cannot live, or like that you use on a regular basis that you can't live without, and you cannot name your own feature flag management platform?
Oh, man.
I know it was a good way to sell the platform, but yeah, it's got to be some other tool. So yeah, Chris, why don't you start us off?
So hi, my name's Chris. I actually work at a company called GitKraken as a developer advocate. It's my first role doing that, so I'm pretty pumped. But I build Vexilla on my own time on my Twitch stream, and I stream quite a bit, and it's really fun. As far as my favorite dev tool, I'd say PNPM. Working with workspaces in PNPM is so much nicer than a bunch of the other tools I use.
Love that. Awesome. Thanks, Chris, and welcome. All right, Tor, over to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Tor. That's like I tore a piece of paper, and I work on the developer platform at Statsig, and that's anything from SDKs, integrations, all of that good stuff. Really excited to be here, and I guess my favorite dev tool I would say is Cloudflare Workers. Just really awesome to be able to spin something up quickly, prototype. Love that tool.
Amazing, awesome. Welcome, Tor. All right, Mike, over to you.
All right. Yeah. I'm Mike Beamer. I work at Dynatrace. I'm a product manager there. I'm also on the governance committee of OpenFeature. And yeah, just really excited to be here and talking about feature flags. Hopefully some feature flag observability can make it in here at some point. And as far as my favorite dev tool, it's kind of like dev tool / like documentation, but I've been using Obsidian quite a bit recently, and it's been a really nice tool for taking notes and doing mocks and things like that.
I love it. Awesome. Well, welcome, Mike. Thanks for being here. Graham, over to you.
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Graham. I'm from Growthbook. We're an open source feature flagging and A/B testing platform. I'm the co-founder, and let's see, favorite dev tool. Well, yeah, Copilot I think is pretty cool. It's getting a lot better. I think for me personally, any productivity gain is sort of offset by the fact that I stare and wonder at the code that it just generated.
Yeah, I'm so with you there. Amazing. Awesome. Well, welcome, Graham. Zoltan, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Zoltan. I'm co-founder of ConfigCat. The tool that has helped us the most in the last 3 months was definitely LangChain, making development with AI super easy.
Awesome. I love that. Thanks, Zoltan. Welcome to the stream. And I realized I didn't actually really introduce myself. I'm Andrew. I'm a developer advocate at DevCycle. Yeah, and just like super big feature flag fan. Yeah, my favorite dev tool, I was talking about this yesterday. Linear is like my favorite tool in devs right now. If you don't know what Linear is, go Google this thing. Google Linear. If you're using Jira or using Asana and you're looking for like the next level thing that like feels very developer-y, this is the thing. I do not get paid for that. I should ask to get paid for this, for selling it to people, but no. All right, so welcome Zoltan, welcome everybody. We're gonna pull on our next kind of 5 people are gonna come on here. So let's pull on, I think Matt's gonna be coming on. We're gonna pull on Matt. We're gonna pull on Alvin. We're gonna pull on Pete and Mark and Ben, and I think that gives me 5. Here we go. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey.
I gotta say, I'm loving your backgrounds. Whoever produced these backgrounds for you, I feel like just chef's kiss. Matt, how's it going, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. So thanks for having me here. This is amazing. So
yeah,
it's great.
Absolutely. All right, so you want to start us off?
Yeah.
A little introduction?
Yeah. So Matt Schillerstrom, I am a product manager at Harness for our feature flag solution, and I'm out of Minnesota. If you can't tell with my accent, my favorite tool, like I've always been like a QA engineer, but like I love chaos engineering, and Lipness Chaos, which is a CNCF open source project, is my favorite for testing the stuff I build. So there you have it. But yeah, glad to be here. So thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Matt. Thank you for being here. I love it. We're all gonna be thanking each other. This is a bit of a love-in, and I'm here for it. The feature flag love-in. Alvin, over to you.
Hello, I'm Alvin. I work for Unleash. We're also an open source feature flag vendor. Been going for 10 years. I've only joined the company about 2 months ago. So still kind of in that discovery phase for feature flags. Super happy with it. In terms of favorite dev tool, it's Prettier. I did a bunch of .NET the other day, and I was like, what the heck? Do I have to format things manually? What is this? So yeah, I can't live without Prettier.
It is a good one.
I love it. We're just like, if nothing else comes out of this stream for you all, use feature flags and then write down all of these ideas. Matt, I'm like half focusing on a million things. Did you say your favorite dev tool?
Yeah. Lipness Chaos for chaos engineering.
Yeah. That's right.
So
that's right.
It's from my background. Yeah.
All right. So thanks, Elvin. Thanks, Matt. Ben, over to you.
Yes. Hey, I'm Ben. I'm in London. I'm a co-founder and currently CEO of Flagsmith. We are a commercial open source feature flagging tool. I'm also on the governance board of OpenFeature, so I know Pete and Mike and a few of the other faces really well. I'm going to be rude. I'm going to have two tools, right? One's really, really simple and literally changes your life. Clipboard History Manager. If you don't use a Clipboard History Manager, do it tomorrow and then thank me like 3 weeks later. And then the other one, Mise en Place, which is a like modern version of ASDF. If you don't know that, if you use ASDF, it's like that, but it works. And it allows you to manage like a bunch of different languages and infrastructure stuff on your laptop locally really, really easily. So Mise en Place, yeah. It's kind of a terrible name for an open source project, but there you go.
Fun to say.
Fun to say. I love that. Mise en Place.
It is,
all right.
Yeah.
Get these things, people. If you're watching this in chat, let us know. Let us know which is your favorite too. Mark, over to you. Oh, thanks for being here, Ben. I don't know why. I need to thank everybody. Thank you for being here, Ben. And Mark, over to you.
Hey, I'm Mark Phillips, founder of Flipt. We are also a open source, self-hosted, cloud native, all the buzzwords, feature flag solution. I'm based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I guess my favorite dev tool, I'm gonna have to go old school and say NeoVim or Vim. Just because I kind of switch between NeoVim and VS Code, but I can never get away from NeoVim, it seems.
Are you trying to start a fight on this stream?
Yeah. Next, spaces versus tabs. This is what I'd like to talk about.
Oh, amazing. Thanks, Mark. All right, Pete, over to you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Pete. My day job is CTO at a startup called Partner Slate, but I'm also on the governance board for OpenFeature, like half of the other people on the stream. OpenFeature is an open standard for feature flagging. And my favorite dev tool is Emacs. Just kidding. I've got a lot of favorite dev tools. Miro is something that I use all the time because I do all my work is remote, and being able to kind of do collaborative whiteboarding and all that stuff is super important. So that's mine. And thanks for having us, Andrew.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you for being here. Just so you know, if you're watching this stream in chat, send questions and say hello. Depending on where you are. But also, if you look at every tool that's been named so far, this is like your entire stack for like a startup. Like right now, you basically have all the tools from like planning to project management. You're set. Awesome. All right. So we've got a few more people that we're going to pull on now. So we're going to pull you all off. Thanks, Matt, Elvin, Pete, Ben, and Mark. And we're going to pull on Hugh. I'm going to mispronounce. We've been talking for so long. And I'm going to pull on Hugh, Aaron, and Josh. Hugh, am I pronouncing your name correctly, or who? Which is it? And just unmute yourself. And we can pull off Mark Tierney. I got it. There we go. Awesome. So is it Hugh or who? Who? All right. I definitely got it wrong the first time. My apologies. Amazing. Hello, Aaron and Josh. How are you?
Good. Living the dream.
Living the dream.
It's summer in New York City, but where it's like at the time of year where it's like, oh, it's so nice, but then the humidity starts coming up and it's like, oh, it's so gross. Yeah,
definitely feeling that. Well, you're directly next to me on my screen, so why don't you start us off? Who are you, and then your favorite dev tool.
So, start from me.
Yeah, go ahead, Hu.
Okay. My name is Hu Bo, and I'm living in China now. And my life is a balancing of between the French, Paris, and China today. And it's very late here. Sorry, my glasses a little bit. My glasses are somewhat reflective. It's just like that. And I'm founder of Featbit, a feature flag tool built with .NET. And my favorite tool is kind of like two things. The first is Visual Studio, because I'm a C# developer and always that. And the second one is the GitHub, because we open our source in GitHub. That's essential for us. Yeah.
Amazing. I love it. Thanks, Hu. Josh, over to you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Klein. I'm my role, I'm a senior solutions architect at Flipt Software. Like I primarily assist technical guidance with our customers on like the post-sale side of their implementations with Split. I live in the Detroit area. I love it here. It's finally getting into some good weather. It's sunny, it's nice, so I'll take it. And my favorite dev tool, over the last couple of years, I've been doing a lot of like sort of playing around with Kubernetes, and like I really love Minikube. It's like extremely easy to use, and it kind of slots right into like macOS 10's ability to like run stuff on the command line, sort of expose URLs, play with services. I just love it.
Amazing, awesome, thanks, Josh. And I didn't say I need to keep doing this. Thank you, Hu, for being here. Josh, thank you for being here. And now, last for right now, actually, there's some more guests that are going to be arriving later. But last for now, we've saved the best for last. Aaron, welcome. It's your turn.
Of course,
take it away.
Of course. I'm happy to. And thank you so much, Andrew, for putting this all together and always being down to shenanigan is the appropriate term. My name is Erin McHale Staples. I am a developer experience engineer at LaunchDarkly by day, but by night I am a comedian professionally. So that's cool. My fun thing there.
I love that. So
only comedian here that I know, and only females so far today. So we'll represent hard. I'm
expecting all the humor today, though. Too.
All the humor. It's going to be so freaking flagtastic. Last I checked. We won't need to be rolling back this stream. I've been working on it.
That one hurt.
Working on that.
There was changes in all of the other videos. I love it.
My favorite dev tool. I was like, the hard part is like I'm going like, ooh, and other people would say theirs. I'm like, ooh, I like that one too. Ooh, I like this one. Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna say it's a dev tool. It's kind of not a dev tool, but it's a dev tool. It's ChatGPT. Honestly, I used to be in the data space before coming to LaunchDarkly, and I bounced between a lot of different database types. And I always felt like I needed to like look up the docs, and like you couldn't remember it off the top of my head. But in ChatGPT, saves me so much time. Anytime you need to set up a database, it's like, boop, great. And it's hasn't done me wrong. So, yeah.
I love it. And nobody named ChatGPT yet, so I feel like it's definitely a dev tool. Thank you for being here.
A fun one. It would be the Charm CLI tools, because those are just, can I say cute? Cute. Also, yes. VS Code Pets.
Yes.
Duh.
VS Code Pets. This is a thing.
This is the thing. It's like a little, basically like a Tamagotchi in your VS Code.
Oh, there you go. I love that. Amazing. And I think our final guest for our stream today, coming to us from across the seas. Well, technically across the seas for me, but not for everybody. Thomas, how's it going?
All good, thanks. Nice to meet you here, like with everyone.
Awesome. Yeah. So Thomas, we're just doing a round of introductions. So who you are, where you work, and your favorite dev tool.
Oh, that's a lot. I'm from Paris in France. I'm actually working in a company called Adevinta, and I'm also working on a open source project called Go Feature Flag. That is a feature flag solution. So that's why I'm here. And I'm also part of the technical committee for OpenFeature. And I mean, there is a lot of awesome dev tools. So I think feature flagging is definitely one of them. Which solution I kind of don't care, because I think like as soon as people are using feature flags, I think it's already an awesome tool that every developer should use on a daily basis. So yeah.
I love that. It was funny. Earlier, I was like, nobody can say their own tool, but you got around that, Thomas. You got around that by saying feature flags, and I'm here for it. That's what this stream is all about. Amazing, Thomas. Thank you so much for being here. I think this is our whole crew. Tierney, do you want to put me front and center again for just a minute? So we'll bring you all back on in just a minute. So if you are here in chat, welcome. Please say hello, chat. If you're here in our as our guest, you can go over to LinkedIn or X or on YouTube, and you can be involved in kind of that chat over there if you'd like to. But Tierney and I are going to be keeping an eye on those kind of things there, just for questions and stuff that are going to come in. So yeah, this is going to be the flow. We're only 10 minutes behind, which is better than I expected we would be at this point. So well done, Andrew, for not planning your own event well. But what we're going to do now for everybody who's out there in internet land is we're going to jump into kind of like some themes of questions that we kind of gathered from all of you that submitted questions through kind of the form that's actually at the bottom of the screen here, as well as internally, we all hear a lot of questions all the time. So we kind of compiled a bunch of lists and we created these themes of these questions. And so the way this is going to work, especially for our guests that are here that weren't able to make it kind of the prep stuff, is we have our private chat. So y'all that are watching this on YouTube, you don't get to see our private chat, but it is all kinds of spectacular. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Zoltan, 10 minutes late is quite good for first. That's very true. We're doing very good. Actually, I take back my previous statement. I think we are on track. But yeah, so we're gonna jump into our questions. If you have some, you can throw them out as well. Oh, I lost track. So for our guests that weren't here for the kind of prep before, if you would like to contribute an answer to one of these questions, just physically throw up your hand, or like you can technically in the private chat, like Tierney can kind of see some of that, but just like physically throw up your hand. Tierney is like on another screen watching all of you. Like the level of sophistication of this stream is next level. But Tierney is a robot right now controlling my screen. And she's looking for your hand if you've got an answer to one of these questions. So feel free to throw your hand up when we get to the questions. I'll read them out. Tierney will pull some people on. And yeah, if you've got questions that are out in chat, please throw them in. We're here for you. This is all about y'all. And so we want to answer your questions. And so we would rather answer your questions than just talk about things that we want to talk about. So please throw them into chat or throw them over into whatever channel you're on. And we'll be keeping an eye out there for things that come through. All right. So we're going to kick things off. Tierney, I'm stealing back control. I'm taking it. All right. So I'm going to pull up our banner for a second. So our first category of our first theme is, and these are cringy names. These are, I apologize in advance for the before the brackets, but I wanted to have something fun. So we're going to do flag fundamentals, and these are kind of some more fun questions. But also if you've got fun questions that are out there, please throw them into the mix. So this is all about understanding feature flags. And these ones, we're not going to do like a large, like, group ask. I think we'll just kind of pull on like maybe the first person whose hand gets up or whatever, and we'll have them kind of answer this question. And then as we get into kind of some of the more interesting ones about use cases and optimizations, things like that, we'll pull on like 5 people at one time. And Tierney is behind the scenes making sure that we get representation from as many people as we can. So just make sure that if you want to be seen, you got your camera on, just because we're keeping track of lots of things. So Tierney, let me steal back for 1 second and then I'll give you full control. Like pull that down. So our first question, it's a hard one, but if we don't know the answer to this, I feel like we probably should not be on this stream. So our first question, I love it. Like, can I actually steal my mouse back? Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Our first question is, what is a feature flag and why should these people out here all care about them? Who wants to answer the literal reason for feature flags? Aaron is there kicking us off. Amazing. Aaron.
All right. Yeah, I am happy to kind of take this fun one. So going in a metaphor, a feature flag is something that allows you to kind of control the release of your features, put very simply. The analogy I like to give, because we often think about rolling out releases and controlling that release, is it's like a Jurassic Park gate. For those of you, I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, and it's like that way that you can like release the dinosaurs into the wild if we're thinking about our dinosaur whatever program. But the other cool thing is it can be done very incrementally. So if you have any issues, you can just rewind it, roll it back, throw it back to a different time. The perks of this are you can really work on whether it's risk mitigation or you can do experimentation off of this or further like targeting and customization all on top of it. But yeah, put simply, it's kind of just like that gate that opens and closes to let things in or out.
I love that we started off with a dinosaur analogy for this stream. That's it. We're done. We're going to leave now. See you later, everybody. Enjoy. This is feature flags. I love that. Thanks, Aaron. Also, there's a question for you in chat that I'm seeing here, or I saw in the comments, which is, do you talk about feature flags in your stand-up?
We did have sorry, all, if you really missed your chance, we did do a LaunchDarkly specific AI comedy show after a workshop one time. So we did have a very toggle features. There was jokes that probably needed to be rolled back, retested, redeployed. We could get weird with this. But outside of this, I do have an AI comedy thing I do on the side. So I fine tune models to roast people.
I love that. Amazing.
So if you're in New York, hit me up.
Awesome. All right. See you in a bit, Aaron. We'll see you back here. All right. So our next question, this one actually came through. It was one of the first questions to come through. And the question was, I reframed it, was what isn't a feature flag? And so who has like a good, oh, there we go. Pete, what isn't a feature flag, but looks like one? What do you got?
So I used to, when I was first talking about feature flags, I used to argue a lot with people about this, like, A/B testing, that isn't feature flagging. I used to have this position that feature flagging was about controlling the release of software. I have come to the alternative opinion that basically anything that's about controlling the behavior of code at runtime is a feature flag. So if it's that, it's a feature flag. A/B testing, feature flag. Permissions, feature flag. But I think this is a good one to maybe have a debate about, because some people might disagree, but what I've talked to like people in the product management space that have been like, A/B testing is feature flags, but like controlled rollout, that's different. That's like an operational thing, or like an operations toggle that's like a kill switch. That's not a feature flag because it lives permanently. I used to like try and die on the hill of like, no, that's not a feature flag. I think they're all feature flags.
Oh, I love it. All right. Do we have any other people that want to go on this spicy take? Zoltan and Chris have to have a response. So let's pull on Chris and Zoltan. We got some spicy takes, and pull Pete back on too, actually, because I feel like Pete needs to face the music.
And the other thing that I think is an interesting one, and I don't have a formed opinion on, but would be a good thing to get other people's brains on, is a feature flag just, I think I know what the answer is going to be for most people, but is a feature flag just like a binary, like a Boolean? Or is it like just a general configuration thing? What about if I want to control the price of my product? Can I use that? Can I do that using a feature flag? You could. Is that a good idea?
I love it. All right, Zoltan, Chris, what are your thoughts here? I feel as though your hands went up very fast. So like you had a response to this spicy take. What's your thought, Chris?
I just wanted to add something very like simple. When I'm streaming and talking about Vexilla and building it, a lot of people ask like, well, what's the difference between that and an environment variable? And really like the key thing is decoupling the feature flag from your deploy process, right? Runtime versus build time. So I just wanted to add on to what Pete was saying. I don't actually have a spicy take for it.
Ah, it's all right. It was spicy enough. I love it. All right, Zoltan, what do you got?
Yeah, another important aspect is that we I think almost always think about, but never talk about, is that being able to remotely control the thing. So it's not only decoupling and doing it in runtime, but it's like completely remotely doing the thing. And I think that makes it tempting to think about a lot of other stuff as being feature flags. And here I got a bit contrarian idea to what Pete already told. And it's like, not everything that's remotely controllable, completely decoupled, is a feature flag. And this pretty much overlaps with your last category, Pete. I'm so happy you mentioned it. I think there are things that are definitely like configuration, like connection strings and things like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, there is a fine line between things, but I think, at least for me, what's non-negotiable is that, is this coupled to a feature or not? Is it a general setting? Because if it's a general setting like a connection string, I would strongly argue that, actually that's not a feature flag. If it's maybe.
I agree, but I bet if we ask particularly some of the vendors, later on, I think we're going to get to the section of like, what's the craziest thing you've seen done with feature flags? I can guarantee that someone has used a feature flag to manage a connection string to a database. Like, it's a bad idea, just definitely a bad idea, but like I can guarantee people have done it. And I have struggled to find a really succinct way of like drawing that line between like, that's definitely a feature flag. You should use a feature flag system to do that, versus that is definitely not. Like a connection string, I would definitely say is not a feature flag. But there's like, at some point it's like, at what point does it become a feature flag? And I've never found a good rule of thumb for like how to, or a good like just like guideline for like when should you not be using feature flags, unfortunately, because it's
I love that I thought this was like a really fun, easy one, but I've unlocked.
It's like the heart. It's the heart of the challenge with feature flags. It's like, when do you stop using them?
Oh my God. All right. Well, okay. So we got some takes. This is good. We're in the energy now. I love it. Taryn, let's pull Zoltan, Chris, and Pete off. Thanks, guys. Thanks for those awesome answers, by the way. We got some questions that I'm going to save till the end in chat, but I want to put out a question for you in chat. If you are watching right now, and just so you know, people that are here and can't see this, we have over 120 people that are watching our stream live right now. Feature flags are the future. They are. You're all here to show that. So thank you all for being here. This is freaking amazing. So question for you, if you are watching this, find a place to respond. I'm just going to throw hands at the camera until you do this. So, what is the proper term? Is it feature flag, feature toggle, or feature gate? I'll just go with 3. Let's go with 3. So which is the proper term? I want to see what the audience thought is on this. Is it flag, toggle, or gate? And I mean, if anybody, well, this is for chat, but if anybody's got a real spicy take, Josh, let's bring Josh on. I see a hand up there from Josh. Did Aaron? Yeah, pull them both on. Anybody else have a take on this? Feature flipper from Pete. All right, what do you got, Aaron?
I am in the toggle camp. I am in the toggle. It is like, wow. Okay, I will expand this to be a slightly spicy take. I am in a, when it comes to what is a feature flag, I am in the beyond Boolean camp. But I do like the idea of a toggle because you're turning on and off technically like the way that I think about it is like a process. So even though it can be on the Boolean or binary, it's still a toggle.
I like it. Josh, what's your take here?
Yeah, so I'm with you, Aaron, on that. Beyond the Boolean, like flags can have like a multiple of sort of return values and uses and like sort of rule sets. I am kind of a fan of feature flag as the terminology. I do like feature flag. You know, it's interesting though, because when you talk to people in other languages, it's actually kind of hard to translate feature flag. And in that sense, I think toggle actually maybe translates a little bit better. But I think in English, in like terminology, the way that makes sense to me and the people I talk to, I do like feature flag as sort of an English description. And I wonder if folks on this stream who are native in another language might have an interesting take on that as well.
That's interesting. I just like the toggle also reminds me of like a command center. And it's like there's like a massive command center with like a bunch of switches and like impossible, like beep, 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 beep. That's how I like to picture my deployment process and my release process is going. It's actually just me in a cool little with some sound effects.
Yeah. So by the way, if you're behind the scenes right now, if you're in our studio, we're watching you. We can see you. If you want on, just wave frantically at your camera. Matt's waving frantically at his camera. Frantic waves. All right. So we got Matt on, Zoltan, Ben. Ben, what do you got, my friend?
Yeah, so I'm definitely 100% in the flag camp. Toggles to me is a binary thing, and feature flags, as we've learned recently, aren't simple binary things. I always like to think of like semaphore flags where they have different positions around, so yeah, I think toggles, I mean, and actually one of the problems we've had in OpenFeature, in fact, probably one of the biggest challenges we've had in OpenFeature is naming things. And so it's funny that we're actually, 40 minutes into the stream talking about words. But, yeah, I think toggles sends you down a kind of limited sort of scope. And so I'm definitely in the flag camp in that regard, yeah.
I love it. Matt, what do you think? Zoltan, I know we've given you, I want to get Matt on here first, and then we'll
Sure.
jump over to you. Matt, what are your thoughts? Which camp are you in?
I'm definitely in the feature flag camp, but honestly, like everything that's being built with all of the technologies from all the companies here in open source, like the feature flags are so smart and intelligent these days that it's just beyond that. It's like a magic wand. That's kind of how I think about feature flags, is they're magic wands of turning on these experiences for your customers behind the scenes, especially like just testing in production, the safeness. So like, I don't know. I'm just excited for everybody here that doesn't know about feature flags or toggles, just to learn about the magic wand that we can all build together and shape out. So I'd like to hear it from anybody else though. Yeah.
Love it. Zoltan, what do you got?
Yeah, I just want to play my non-native English speaker card here. So as someone who's native in a non-English language, like I can definitely tell you that feature flag is the best one. And please, all out there, do not try to translate it. Because like, for example, I identify as someone with an engineering background, and then on my job, yeah, you just use English in your daily work all the time. And if someone tries to translate those words to you, yeah, that makes things really hard. So I think for non-English speakers, feature flag is the best term generally. And the the word flag, it's like associated with the software engineering aspect of the thing. And I think most of our first users are engineers. So I think that's why that's the best term. And maybe too short, more thoughts, but obviously the word toggle, I associate it with the visibility, with the visible aspect of the thing, that you are being able to flip it on, flip it off. And there is this feature gate thing, which I never ever liked personally, but I can understand how that's associated with the gatekeeping type of stuff out there. But I am in the feature flag camp.
I love it. So we got Alvin's jumped on, but I just want to say, just so you can't see this, but behind the scenes, domain names are being purchased. We're going to make feature wands a thing, the feature flag superstream. That'll be the new domain to hold all of this. This is what I'm here for. I'm here for the silliness. What did shenanigans, Aaron said earlier? I feel like we want to create feature flag shenanigans. Make all of your releases sparkle. Yes, Aaron. All right, Alvin, what do you got? Which camp are you in? Are you in feature, toggle, flag, gate, something totally different?
I'm not here for hot takes, but I agree with Zoltan. As an other non-native speaker, I think, yeah, feature flag and keeping things in a single language makes a lot more sense. I think Zoltan probably can attest to that. Everyone has horror stories of teams starting a code base in their native language. Yeah, I see you smile and then realizing this is a terrible idea and trying to translate stuff. So it's the same scenario. Stick to English, it's coding. That's just the way it is. That's it.
I kind of love this. I love these considerations you don't really have. A lot of I mean, not you don't really, obviously you're having it, but I think like not everybody's thinking about these things when they're like, oh, I'm going to call it this really cool name. We've definitely had naming challenges at DevCycle too, for sure. All right. So let's pull everybody off again. Let's grab everybody off of there. Bye, everybody. We'll see you in just a minute. So right now, who hasn't been on yet? Because I'm going to put you in I think I might put you in the hot seat. We haven't heard from Graham yet. Tor's been kind of behind the scenes. Are you guys ready for the hot seat? Graham, Tor, who else? Matt, Mike. Yeah. All right. Let's pull them on. Let's pull on Graham. Let's pull on Tor, Mike. Let's bring on who? Do you want to come on too? We'll get on for the next one. Yeah. Let's pull on who as well. Awesome. I think. Yeah. There we go. All right. I think. And Thomas. Yeah. Let's bring on Thomas. There we go. Bring him on. It was a wave. Now you're getting it. This is like you're at a show and somebody raises their hand and they then spend $100,000 on an item at an auction. All right. So we are moving on to our next section of, I'm going to steal the mouse again, Terranay. Next section, which is our, we've already done this one. Ignore this. We're not on that section. We are into toggle tactics. I did the thing that I shouldn't have done based on the last round, which is I called them toggles and I called them switches. All the things that I shouldn't do. So let's jump into this one. So we got like these 3 questions in here. Is any of them that really stick out to anybody here around those 3 questions that we had in the doc? Like, I don't know if any of you submitted them. I can also just read one out. Everybody's like highlighting things right now. Let's do the first one then. Okay. So biggest challenges that you think a team might face when they're first starting to implement feature flags? What's like the big, like what's one of the first challenges that you think, or the biggest challenges a team might face when they're trying to do this? And anybody can go ahead, just unmute and take it away. Yeah, go ahead. Who?
Yeah, I think I met many senior developers here in China, in Europe, in France, and I really met real problems. It was they always told me that they don't like if-else statements everywhere in their code base. And I saw a post in the Reddit 2 weeks ago, and it shows a picture, name it feature flag everywhere. It's a shit mountain. So this is the biggest challenge. When I go to find my customers, I persuade them to use feature flags. They say no, too many if-else in the code base.
That technical debt, hey, like that seems to be just like, yeah, that universal. All right, anybody else got another or building on that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed is actually all the different providers do a really, really good job of making it super easy and approachable to like get started with these things, whether you're starting on the client side, you're starting server side, whatever language it is. But I think one of the biggest stumbling blocks that people start to run into pretty quickly is like, okay, how do I make this like really resilient? And how do I handle those, failure scenarios that could happen, whether it's, I'm on a, Android device with poor network connectivity and, if I can't fetch updated, flags, what am I going to do in that case? And so I think for me, it seems like it's actually not that first step of getting started. Getting started is okay. And then once you start to get to some of those more complex scenarios and start to understand how you're going to handle, if servers are down or things like that.
Yeah, I guess I can jump in real quick too. I mean, I think getting started arguably is the hard part, depending on your circumstances too. It's like a lot of companies like maybe haven't picked the tool that they want to use yet, or they're using like, I don't know, environment variables or more like static configuration kind of to control certain features. And so that was one of the big reasons we were working on OpenFeature, to try to make it a little easier to get started and then choose the right tool. So, I guess that is probably one of the bigger challenges, making sure you like make the right tech choices at the beginning.
Yeah, it's fair. Thomas?
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to add is like changing the mindset of your tech team, because for a long time when you wanted to release something, you deploy something. While when you start using feature flags, you can say, I deploy, but I don't release. And this is not a mindset that everyone has in the beginning. So changing the mindset of when I deploy and when I release at a different time now, it's always sometimes a bit hard for a new joiner in feature flagging.
And just to comment on some of the technical problems with feature flags, you can get some really weird interactions with like client-side rendering, static site rendering, and caching, edge configs, stuff like that can get pretty complex. Yeah, so that's a bit of an issue with some people.
Oh, Andrew, you're muted.
Tyranny. Sorry, we're like Tyranny and I are like fighting for control of this. Yeah, sorry. Oh, Pete and Mark, this is the question. I love this. Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
I want to build on a couple of things, I guess, that like, so the thing that Thomas was saying, I think that's definitely something I think teams struggle with when they haven't used feature flags before is getting their minds around the QA aspect, particularly if like they've got a dedicated QA team. Like, how do I test this? Do I have the flag on or off? Like when do we test it? Do we test it once it goes to production, before it goes to production, when we release the flag, before we release the flag? Like, all of that stuff is just, you just need to have a bunch of conversations and figure that stuff out. And then, yeah, and I think the other, like the biggest challenge for me that I've seen, particularly when I was a consultant, just seen over and over and over again, was teams like thinking, oh, this is like basically a glorified if else statement. I'm going to build this ourselves. Like it's a really nice sized problem for like a senior engineer to start working on, and like, oh, this is fun. I don't have to do my day job. I can build a feature flagging system. And there's this like giant pile of stuff that you learn like slowly over time. Everyone here who works at a feature flagging company understands that there's a giant pile of stuff that they didn't think they were going to have to do when they first started. And yeah, like most, obviously, like OpenFeature, a big part of what we're doing is like helping people migrate away from like the hand-rolled thing that they have deep regrets about. I think it's pretty rare for someone to go from an open source tool or a vendor and say, let's build our own feature flagging system. It's very rare for people it's very common for people to go the other way around. I think there's a reason for that.
Yeah, you get the Pareto principle there, 80-20. Like you can get some pretty basic features done, and then like that other part is like really hard.
Yeah, the last 20% takes 80% of the time, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of expand on what Peter said too, and I think some of the other folks have mentioned. You know, it's the getting around the mindset of you know, as part of really what gives you the most value from feature flagging is the idea of kind of releasing quickly, releasing code quickly and separating deploy from release, and releasing and testing in production. And that is probably the biggest mindset shift, because it's not as much like, it's a big technical change from, you know, you have 3 different environments, and you know, you have all these branches, and you have processes around making multiple different branches and merging branches to production to release features. All of that changes if you really, you know, if you commit to implementing feature flags as part of like your team processes. And that is a huge mental shift from the model of, you know, how software engineering has been done for decades to moving to feature flags, where, you know, you have ideally you'd have like one trunk, and features are, you know, code is shipped to that branch constantly and released constantly and gated behind flags. And then when the feature is ready to release, you deploy and release via the flag, not based upon the code that's being merged to a branch.
It's almost like a cultural shift for the whole like organization, because it's not just the engineers. The product managers need to understand, or the product organization needs to kind of get their head around it. Like at some point you need to have a conversation with the CEO about like why like feature flags, and like, why can I see this in this place, but like, why you showed me this thing in production, but I'm trying to use it and it's not working. Why is it not working? Oh, well, we have a feature flag. You know, like it's a shift for the whole organization to go through if they haven't worked with feature flags before for release management.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to trust too in the organization, because you have to you have to be able to trust your engineers and your PMs that like they're not just going to toggle something off that's been live for, you know, years and take that production. And there's obviously controls you can put in place, but yeah, like you said, everyone said, it's an organizational shift.
Trust for QAs as well. Like I think like a lot of when you've got like dedicated QAs, like the idea of like releasing something to production before you've tested it is extremely. I think fundamentally there's like a very different mentality between engineers and QAs. Like engineers are by default optimists, like it's going to be great. QAs are by default like very pessimistic, and because that's their job. So getting them to be like, to trust that like, oh yeah, we'll ship this to prod, but we're not going to turn it on and everything will be fine. It takes a few trust falls before you get there.
And I'm over here like, one of the quick things I'm like over here putting on my former PM hat. It's on tight last I checked. One of the things that I think is really exciting to me about this whole like release management, feature management reign is like, it can be a very cross-functional tool. And it's like, yes, it's trust, but like a lot of these tools out there have permissions that change based on teams. And I think if it's done correctly, in this concept of controlling the release and thinking about that user experience from that PM perspective, this can really be a way of like, for all of us to kind of break in the door, get that foot in the door with release management. Like we think a lot about how, you know, no one wants a bad user experience. Like what I was actually arguing with everybody flights recently, and it was like, click this button on the app, but you can't go click this button and it doesn't work. And actually call a representative, be on hold for 3 hours. Like that's a terrible experience. And at the end of the day, like if we make sure that we are building feature flags or thinking about release management, not just from an engineering perspective or a stack perspective, but also a PM or even like user research, if we're getting our designers involved in that process, that can give us a lot more information that makes a better end product. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we all want.
Amazing. All right. So a lot of time on this. I love this. Let's pull everybody off again, and we'll get our next question up here. And folks that are interested, amazing, awesome. So I knew this was gonna happen. Tyranny. So it's funny. Tyranny and I had a conversation before this stream, and we were like, we have too many questions on this for a single stream, but it's by design because I want to do more of these. We want to do more of these streams, so there's lots of time to go through more of these questions. But anyways, we're going to keep moving through. I know there's lots of questions here. We'll have some time at the end if there's not a lot of Q&A in the comments too. So, but I want to kind of touch on a bunch of these areas. And I feel like we got into a lot of the kind of technical implementation, not like the big ones. There's some client side versus server side stuff that maybe we'll come back to. But I think maybe let's go to another big one that I think comes up a lot. And Bo brought this up. Oh my God, who brought this up earlier around lifecycle management and this idea of technical debt and all of this stuff. And so let's get some hands up in here. Who folks that want to comment on this, like feature flag journey. So like, how do you manage a feature flag journey? Go ahead, Terry, bring them on. Yeah, go ahead. Whoever wants to kick us off. Matt, you're on first.
I mean, I'll start because
sure.
What I had an experience once at a company, and it was funny because the last topic, there was a discussion about, you know, you got to make sure your engineers aren't turning off a feature that had been on for a couple of years. And it's funny because I had actually been at a company at one point where we had, you know, they never had a process for retiring flags. So we had, you know, hundreds of flags in this massive self-built feature flagging system. And it was not very well documented. And you had this giant sort of cryptic instructions on which flags could ever be turned off. Some flags needed to be turned off. It was kind of a mess. And so I think that's one thing that's really important when you start a feature flag is have a process to retire it. Because, you know, again, one of the earlier things we talked about is also all the if-else statements in your code, right? I mean, that is at some level fundamentally that is technical debt. It has value at the point that you're exploring or experimenting or using that feature flag, but ultimately, you know, it is a little piece of technical debt. So you have to have a process for, you know, when is this flag able to be retired and what is the process for doing that? And that should be sort of agreed upon by the teams that are implementing flags. And I think that reduces a lot of the concerns around sort of flags as sort of technical debt just sitting there forever. So that's my piece.
Yeah, go ahead,
Matt. I mean, flag lifecycle is hard, right? I mean, everybody can raise their hand and say that. And like Josh was saying, tech debt, like that's what I often call feature flags because you're introducing another code path, right, that you're testing and experimenting with that. So I always, like as a product manager for feature flags and a product manager in the past on other developer experience products, like I just always like to talk to team and just be like, okay, we're introducing this flag. How long are we going to have it out there? Like, what's the release cadence? Like, in an agile way, like sometimes, you know, we're iteratively deploying and releasing, getting feedback, but I like to have that end date on there just so we all know, just so it doesn't drag out. And a good product management team, right, will have that like, okay, this is our outcome we're trying to achieve, and we're going to deliver that. And then rather than forgetting about, you know, retiring that flag and removing it, like, build it into your process from the beginning, just so you don't get in that habit of like, we've all been there where like every 6 months you're like, okay, my bill's increasing on my thing or something, and you have to go back and see if you should remove that tech debt and code and all that. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Love it.
I think the thing for me is a lot of people in like wider teams think about feature flags, and maybe engineers do as well, as like an engineering tool, right? Like, because kind of they are, right? Because they're living really deep in your code, doing important stuff. But actually, when you start using them as a larger team, they're as far from the engineering department as like pretty much anything, right? Like they're really much part of the much wider part of your team around QA and product and analytics and all this sort of stuff. And I actually don't know a tool that's got a kind of like a further distance from like how people, what people perceive the tool to be for, to, you know, the how it actually affects the wider team. And so I think, but you know, from my experience, it's not about the engineers, right? Like the engineers' lives, obviously, and you know, the DevOps folk and that, they're all happy, right? The people you need to bring on board, the people you need to be involved in this process of life cycle management is all of the people who don't have, you know, 5 Git clients on their laptop. And if they're like frightened of logging into the feature flag provider, because they don't want to like, you know, we don't want to touch something that might break, like that's like, you've kind of lost at that point, right? Because that's the kind of the opposite of where we were trying to get people to.
Yeah. So just before Chris and Tor, I let you kind of come on and answer this. It sounds like Erin's gotta get out of here. She's got another probably comedy show that she's got to go to, but I want to pull Erin on just to kind of, like provide some either thoughts on this or just like final parting thoughts, or just to say goodbye to everybody, because I feel like the love should be there. So yeah, go over to you, Erin.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for having me and kicking this up. I love the rising tides, raids all ships things. And thank you for those who tuned in. I see Cody in the comments. I see Chris in the comments. So thank you all for joining in. And I appreciate you all here. And I look forward to the next adventure. I know Yumi and some other folks have been kind of what's next for the fun thing to happen. But if you guys have any questions about feature flags or want to geek out about something else, or if you're in New York City and want to come to a comedy show, come say hi. I will drop my contact in the chat. But until then, have a good one.
And just so everybody knows, all of the socials, handles, communities, everything is going to be in the comments on the YouTube video. So you'll get everybody's information to reach out to for all of the vendors that are here and all the people that are on the call to reach out to them. Yes, and stay tuned. Erin and I have got things. We've got things that we're canoodling about. There are shenanigans that we have been pondering, and we're gonna bring everybody into the loop soon. But we wanted to make sure that this went super smoothly first. So all right, so let's pull back on. So we had a couple more people. So let's pull back on Tor and Chris. Yeah, awesome. All right, Tor, Chris, just over by me on the very bottom left. Amazing, the production value. All right, go ahead, Tor and Chris. So go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to build on some of the things that were brought up earlier, talking about like that, keeping a tight life cycle on when something should be retired. And I think that it actually goes back to the first point of like what is and isn't a flag, and talking about like, is an experiment a flag or not? And I think experiments are probably one of the things that have actually gotten the life cycle like the most tight, because it's very well defined. You need to have your hypothesis up front, right? You're running the experiment for an expected duration. You're making a decision at the end, choosing a variant, cleaning up the code. And so that almost feels like one of the examples that has like really nailed that. Whereas when you start getting into like your long-lived or your permanent ones, your kill switches, things like that are meant to be kind of in the code base forever, and things like that. That's where this gets a lot trickier. Yeah,
I love it. Chris?
So yeah, I really just wanted to mention that there's actually a tool out there created by Uber called Piranha that you can actually use to like identify stale flags and remove them from your code even. And it's really cool. I just wanted to mention that for the chat if they were curious about it at all. I really like it.
I love it. All right, awesome. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tor. All right, let's pull them off Tyranny for the moment. There we go. Amazing. So y'all can still submit your questions. We're running as I expected, super on time, not, but we're about 10 minutes away till we're really going to come and take questions from y'all in the audience. If you don't have any, we'll just keep going through the questions that we have. But there's been a request from the booth. We want to go real fun. We want to go real fun, real silly question. And I think we got to move. I do want to talk about AI. But I feel like that's such a big topic right now, AI and feature flags. So I do feel like use cases are such a fun thing. Flag, fables, and foibles. Let's talk about the silliest, funniest, oddest, most unique use case of feature flags that you might have heard of. Ben is very excited. Pull Ben back on. I'll pull him on. Ben, and anybody else that wants to come on, throw up your hand and I'll pull you on. All right, Graham's on there. All right, who else we got? Oh, we got Josh on there. Anybody else? Oh, we got Tor's back on. All right, here we go. So take it away. Whoever wants to start.
we had a customer who was using our SaaS platform and they were having like performance issues and we couldn't figure it out. So we got on a call with them and one of their engineers shared their screen and showed us what they were doing, and they were using flags to do all of the localization in this enormous B2C web application. So they had like a flag which was like ES dot and then log out dot button cancel, and then so they had like tens and tens and tens of thousands of flags, and and they've been using it for like a long time, right? Like it had been working for them. So we had to we tried to come up with a performance solution for them that would work, because and this kind of goes back to is that wrong? I mean, I didn't design Flagsmith to do that, but it worked for them, right? So I don't know. So I don't want to kind of beat on that as like, oh, you've done it wrong, because they were getting a lot of mileage out of it, but it was actually interesting because we got to build a load of stuff around performance and tagging stuff and filtering and all this sort of stuff. But I mean, I think if it works for the team, then let's go, right? As long as it's secure, then whatever you want.
That's very similar to what I was going to mention, because we had one customer, I think they were hitting like some limit on the file size of the amount that could be returned over our API. They just decided to shove the entire site into one JSON blob that was returned by like one flag, and it would do the internationalization, so that when they add a new language, it would increase it by dramatically. That was not a good idea. Yes, it did work, but like there's a certain point where that's just not a really good idea. Better ways to do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I have kind of the same story. I had two of them, and it seems like they were both use cases were taken. One is localization, where yes, technically you can use a feature flag system for localization, but you run, I don't know, you want to like jam all of your language stuff inside of a feature flag. And then, of course, the other one, we had a customer who was base64 HTML and using that as the names of the feature flag treatments. So you could pull it out and you could, yes, it could work, but it's really just not a good idea. And so those, I think maybe other folks probably have similar stories too.
I had a different story, and it's a little bit less silly and a little more serious. But it's from my time at Facebook when the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden all of these services were having scaling problems because everybody was online at the same time, right? Everybody's on Zoom, everybody is on Twitter, things are blowing up. And so like there was just so much usage going on that, they couldn't pour concrete fast enough to make more data centers to handle this increase in scale, right? And so one of the things that they did was build a web of feature flags. So there was tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 features, and then actually added switches for each of these things. And so like, I think the biggest one I heard about in like tier 1 was like turn off newsfeed ranking for all of Facebook. Like, let's just get rid of all of that. That would free up so much CPU. And fortunately, it never got to the point where they ever had to flip all the way up to tier 1. I think they might have gotten to tier 3, but it was a pretty cool way of, you can nest multiple different features under one kind of master switch there, and then you had people on the infrastructure team monitoring that and being able to have a way to control features across teams of tens of thousands of engineers at the time. So I thought that was a really cool use case at like massive scale, and very relevant to the conversation. Very cool.
Zoltan, what do you got?
Yeah, it's like, thanks. Another horror story that came to my mind was in the early days of ConfigCat. We as a team, I think we just screwed up. It's like we used our own tool to toggle our own features, right? I'm sure this is something that you all do. And it was the first time when we used a ConfigCat feature flag for turning on the maintenance mode in ConfigCat, when we realized that there is no way for us going back other than, thanks God we have, and thanks to my engineering team, we have a public management REST API and we could turn off the thing. But yeah, that's a horrible idea to use your own feature flag to turn into maintenance mode your own sites, right?
I love it. Oh my God.
I guess, can we guess what happened, Zoltan? Is what we all think happened?
I'm sorry? It's like, what did we think what would happen, or what's the question?
Well, did you turn it into maintenance mode and then you couldn't turn it off?
Yeah, it was that. And after that, we had to use our own REST API to turn the thing off, to turn the flag off and turn off maintenance mode. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. These are so good. I'm like, we've been having some conversations about like, is there a show that is just talking about like feature flag fumbles? Like that's literally the entire stream is just talking about like things that have gone wrong that feature flags could have saved. I love this. This is amazing. All right, let's pull everybody off again, Terranay. So we've got lots of questions. We're still going to be able to get to some of them, but we're about 2 minutes before when I wanted to kind of switch to a more free form Q&A. And then I'm going to do something a little bit different, Terranay, for the last one. I want to actually have everybody get a chance to kind of answer that last question. So for you that are in like our guests, I think I'll ask the last question that's in that best practices thing to everybody and give everybody like a 30-second, like best like hot take on feature flagging. But right now I actually want to go through chat and see what questions that we have in there. And we're going to kind of we'll spend a couple minutes just kind of going through chat and seeing what's come in over the last little while. So what do we got in here? Things that are still there. And I love that all of our our guests are also over in the chat on like YouTube and stuff. Question for Detroit. We got Matt's question. We'll let Matt ask a question. Yeah. So there's a question for Will Clark about OFREP proposal and how to get involved. I think that's an open feature one. So pull on Thomas. So yeah, what is the OFREP proposal and how can people get involved?
So OFREP is the Open Feature Remote Evaluation Protocol. So it's a standard way of doing connecting your feature flag system with open feature. So basically it's just like remote evaluation and no in-process evaluation. And basically it's an API definition that any vendors can implement and be compatible with open feature, meaning that you will get for free, you can use open feature SDK and you get like providers. So for now, I think we have JavaScript client and server, Go, and I've seen like a pull request for Python just popping yesterday. So I think it's starting to expand, and this is pretty new. So if you want to be part of it, like the best way is to join the CNCF Slack channel, and you are CNCF Slack, and we have a channel called Open Feature Remote Evaluation Protocol where you can probably ask all your questions and be part of it. But it's like still on the definition, and I think we are getting there. So happy to have more people involved.
Awesome. Thanks, Thomas. All right. So I'm looking through chat, not seeing any big questions, but if you're here in chat, throw it in. If you're on X, there's been a thing at the bottom of the screen with like anonymous question submission. You can like go follow my finger and go to that link. And you can ask questions. We got a couple over there. What isn't a feature flag? We already did. Yeah, we'll do one. What is the most interesting project you've used feature flags for? Anybody got most interesting project you've used feature flags on? Throw your hand. Oh, we got Mark on there. Do you want to throw people on, Terranay? I think Mark's on. Alvin. Yeah, awesome. Anybody else that wants to jump in here, you're more than welcome. Ben, pull Ben back on. All right, go ahead, folks. So I think Mark, go ahead. You're unmuted. So yeah, take it away. What most interesting project you've used feature flags for?
Yeah, so before going full-time on Flipt, I worked at GitHub as a staff engineer, and I worked on the package registry team. So previously, GitHub had an old Docker registry, and then they decided to rewrite it and basically create a GitHub container registry for performance reasons and other reasons. But what they wanted is the ability to migrate everyone behind the scenes from the old registry to the new registry without them knowing at all. And so I was in charge of that migration project, and we actually used our in-house feature flag solution to do that. Instead of creating a record in our database for each org, like in where they were in the process of migration, we used feature flag for that. And it actually worked really well. And as far as I know, nobody was aware that we switched them over behind the scenes. And we're talking like millions of packages and images. So it's pretty cool.
Very cool. Alvin, what do you got?
Something I did recently, so I put feature flags in an MDX document. Right? Meaning that you could have your markdown file and some of the components are just turned off.
I like that. I need to find out how. I was trying to do this a while ago in like a Docusaurus like situation, and I couldn't quite get there. So Alvin, I got to connect with you after.
Oh yeah, let's have a chat for sure.
Ben, what do you got? Interesting project.
Yeah, so we had a customer who his business was doing like automated like clothing manufacture, and they had like cameras looking down on like weaving looms with like little Raspberry Pis next to them running their software in factories all around the world. And it was painful getting new deployments of their software reliably installed on all of these controller devices. And so they made heavy use of feature flags to be able to avoid having to, like quite often one of the interesting things is like, feature flags decouple deploy and release. And one of the interesting things is all the different deployment vectors that you see and the problems with deployment vectors that you see, right? And so, like mobile devices being one, but we never considered like machine controllers in a factory and deploying to those being like a difficult deployment vector. So that was super interesting. Yep.
Very cool. I love that. Yeah. And so just if anybody missed the question there, do you want on Zoltan? I can see I love the hands.
Oh yeah.
Just so everybody watching the stream, we have like this line at the bottom of our very zoomed out screen that we're screen sharing. Just people waving manically to try and get on stream. Absolutely fantastic. All right, Mike. So Zoltan, give it, and Mike's on too.
Yeah, I can relate so much to Ben's story. So that was cool to hear because like I never imagined before starting ConfigCat and starting to having users and talking to them that someone will use feature flags for welding polyethylene pipes using electrofusion jointing. And actually that's one of the things our users do. And that sounds at least similar to me in terms of how far that thing seems to me from hardcore software engineering, just like that. And I was wondering, there are so many things that would make sense out there in this world, even for engineers, and they do not do it. And I always wonder why people get this idea of feature flagging and what they love in it. And I think there is, behind all stories, at least behind the vast majority of them is this concept, what I call, it's like procrastination driven development or something like that I can clearly see happening out there in the last 10 or 15 years. It's like, yeah, I do not want to decide it. I have to work with these 3 engineering teams. That's just too much for me. Yeah, let's just put it behind a flag and make it remotely controllable, and then I will decide it. And that resonates so good with all what engineers feel at their heart, that cool, we'll make this runtime configurable and so on. And I think that's one of the keys behind the success of feature flags. And personally, I think that's why we see so many cool stories use feature flags in industries that I never ever thought before that is necessary there.
Absolutely. And I love coined here on stream, procrastination driven development. Absolute legend, Matt. Yes. You heard it here first. We're going to have a blog post from ConfigCat in the next couple of weeks about procrastination-driven development. Mike, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of theorizing how they did it. I guess I wasn't actually on the project, but if you remember about maybe a year ago at Twitter when they were going through like, let's add a blue badge or make it red or slightly bigger or remove it. I would imagine they're probably using a feature flag and just sitting there, just slamming it, depending on leadership's mood that moment. So just another example of probably feature flags in the wild on pretty large projects.
I love that.
One of my co-founders just messaged me and said apparently there's a landmine robot clearing company that are running flags. So I didn't even know that, but. Yeah, I mean, talk about like difficult deployment vectors. Landmine robot clearance is probably, in the red zone of trouble there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, amazing! I love this. Thanks for all those great answers. Terry, let's pull everybody down again. So we are, or just like highlight me, you know the deal. So we are about 10-12 minutes away from the end, and I wanted to do something different because I know we tried to get everybody a good mix here, but I want everybody, they had a chance at the start to introduce themselves, but I want everybody to kind of get their like salient feature flag effective use thing out there. So let's kind of, I think sadly today we're not going to be able to get to all the questions. It was never going to happen. And so I think finishing off with this one is really good though. And we'll give everyone kind of a chance to give their like a minute spiel on kind of like what you think the most important thing is. So the question is, and we'll give everyone a chance to answer this, and Terene, we'll just pull up all of the people and we'll do the groups like we did for the intro. So we're going to do, what are like the must know strategies for effective feature flag management? So like, what's the must know thing? If somebody's thinking feature flag, like what is the big, most salient thing that you think that they should be considering? Pull them up, Terene. Pull up our first five. I know y'all are like, I don't want to answer this question. I haven't thought about it. What are you doing, Andrew? But I feel like everybody probably has like either a hot take or a thought on this. So like, what do you think is like the most important thing that people need to know when they're going to effectively use feature flags? Anybody want to start off? Chris, you're next to me, but sure, you got an idea? Yeah.
I think one thing to remember is that you're probably going to want to have some mechanism for QA to be able to turn on flags locally, like separate from how your remote flags are being done. So like browser extension or just some like tool that you've built out where they can modify local storage, just so that they can actually like do these things without having to modify the global flags.
Ooh, I love that. Ooh, also, and so Terene just said this in my ear. She said they should do outros. They should say, again, who they are, where they're from, where people can find more information about you. So Chris, do you want to do the first outro for people too?
Sure. Yeah. Again, my name's Chris Griffing. I'm building Vexilla on my Twitch stream. My handle is CM Griffing on all the socials, including Twitch. And this was just super fun. And if you want to give Vexilla a try, it's vexilla.dev, not the github.io link. That's old, but yeah, I really appreciate you guys letting me be involved. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. All right. Bye, Chris.
We'll just point out that one of the things that I'm sorry to jump in there. Is that all right?
No, you're all good, Greg.
Okay, cool. One of the things that you're going to want to do pretty early on is figure out either like a naming convention or some way to organize your flags as they scale up. It's very easy for flags for not people to know what they do, and it's fairly common for flag to just be turned off. So if you do have a permission system on your flagging platform, use that because you want to make sure that important flags stay in the right state.
Awesome. And then like final outro for you, Graham.
Yeah. So I'm Graham. I'm building Growthbook.io. We are an open source feature flagging and A/B testing system. The ultimate goal is sort of an experimentation-driven development. So it's not and it's good to launch things safely, but it's really cool to figure out what the impact of everything you launched had on your metrics. You can check us out at growthbook.io. And thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Graham. Awesome. And don't go anywhere, everybody.
Yeah.
I feel like just like making sure that everybody gets a chance to say it. So thank you so much, Graham. All right, Mike, I think you were on here too. What do you got?
Yeah, sure. So I'd say, I mean, this is kind of going back to where I work too, but having good telemetry is quite important for all these different use cases, for experimentation, for, removing flags that are no longer, relevant to your org, kind of detecting stale flags, things like that. So that's quite important. I think it's one of those things that's quite difficult to do in like a homemade solution as well. And so that is kind of leading into my pitch, though. If you are interested in getting involved in that, the OpenFeature project is working with the OpenTelemetry team to define semantics around like feature flag evaluation, change events, things like that. If you're interested, join the OpenFeature channel on the CNCF Slack workspace and pop in and say hi.
Awesome.
Yeah,
thanks, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I think. Bye, Mike. I love. So just so you know, in the background, Terrane is just saying goodbye to all of you. It's fantastic. All right. Yeah, Tor, do you want to go? Maybe not. Yes. Yeah. There we go.
Sure. So I guess again, harkening back to something someone said of, you're going to be tempted to go build your own, and you know what? Have at it. It's a fun project. Go build your own. But if you are going to do that, why don't you go take a look at OpenFeature? Go look at what they're doing. Maybe start to model it after that, so that when you realize that you shouldn't build it yourself, you have an easy way to swap it out.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Oh, I turned off my camera.
Outro time.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was me. I'm Tor. I work at Statsig. We're an A/B testing and feature flagging platform, like many folks here. Check us out at statsig.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Tor. Bye, Tor. All right, Zoltan, I think you're up, my friend. You are very muted right now. All the mutings are happening.
All the mutings.
All
Thanks.
the mutings.
Yeah, it's like, I'm Zoltan from ConfigCat, and it's like, what we try to do is like giving our users 90% of all the power what feature flags possibly could give, right? Because if you use it to all of its potential, it gets really complicated. So where we aim at to be is like 90% of the power at 10% of the complexity. And I think that's my general advice for feature management in general, whichever vendor you choose, like, please think before you use it for everything all the time, and spare a few flags for yourself. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Zoltan. Bye, Zoltan. Terrane is just pulling people on and off. Pete, you're unmuted. Go ahead. Take it away.
I plus one on what Zoltan said. I was considering having that as my tip of like, you don't always need a feature flag. I worked with a team that did a feature flag for every story, just like their rule was like every card in Jira or whatever had a feature flag. Don't do that. But that's not my actual thing. I think my my tip would be, we've talked about this already, but like distinguish between like flags that are permanent versus flags that are temporary. So like an experimentation flag or like a release flag is temporary, and a like an operational toggle, like a kill switch, like the ones that they were using at Facebook, is a permanent flag. You need to know the difference between those because you need to implement the switch differently. Like an ugly if statement is fine for a flag that's going to go away in 10 days because you're going to remove the code in 15 days if you're doing your job right. A permissions toggle or an operations toggle could be there for like the life of the code base. So you don't want to use an if else statement. You probably want to treat it like real production code. You want to use like a strategy pattern or something like that. So that's my tip, is kind of like be intentional about which flags are going to be there for a long time, which flags aren't, and code appropriately and treat it like production code, not like, just feature flagging code. Oh, and the
outro. Yeah, the outro.
My outro. I forgot. So if you're interested in OpenFeature.dev is the place to be. We have a super welcoming Slack community. You can get a link from there. And yeah, come and join us on the Slack and ask us questions. Don't be shy. I know I do, but lots of other people in that community just love talking about feature flags in general. We're all flagging nerds, so come and ask questions. We'd love to welcome you.
Awesome. All right, Alvin, you're unmuted next, so take it away.
For sure. You know what? I'll take one for the team. Don't build your own. Just we have so many amazing vendors. Fine. I'll be the one to say it. We have so many amazing vendors that are either free to self-host with a free tier. Save yourself the time, because we've as preaching to the choir a little bit. But yeah, so that's that. I'm Alvin. I work for Unleash. If you want to find me on the internet, my website is alvin.codes. And thank you very much to you, Andrew, and everyone behind the scenes.
Awesome. Thanks, Alvin.
Cheers.
Bye, Alvin. All right. I think Josh is unmuted next.
Hi. Yeah. So my piece of advice is I'm a process person. So I'm going to say, agree to a process before you start implementing feature flags throughout all your codes, so that everyone who needs to touch and understand that flags exist are kind of on the same page with respect to the flag lifecycle. I've lived through this where that wasn't the case, and then you end up with massive flags that nobody knows what they do, and people are switching them on and off. They don't maybe even understand what a feature flag is for, and they just sit there, and it causes bit rot. So please before you start to go hog wild with flags, have a process, get some stakeholder agreement, at least minimally, to make sure that you don't have, when you have flags all over the place, nobody knows what they do, and nobody can figure out if they can remove them or not. You don't get to that point. So that's my piece of advice. That's my 2 cents. My name is Josh Klein. I'm a senior solutions architect at Split Software. You can find us at split.io. And then you can find me at Klein_Joshua A at Twitter, or on LinkedIn under my real name. So
awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Josh. All right, Matt, you've been hanging out for a while here. But Matt, take it away.
Just 2 words, feature wands. Somebody already bought the domain. I just tried to buy it and somebody stole it. No, it's good. I hope somebody does buy that though. But
I think
my 2 cents here. So my QA background and everything, if you're deploying to any environment and you're nervous, it's because you're not using a feature flag. Not everything is a feature flag, true, but if you're still on those slow deployment cycles or Friday nights kind of a thing where you're deploying, use feature flags, because that will put so much psychological safety with how you feel and the energy that you'll get back just from deploying in a disabled state and choosing when to release. And I would also just add, don't hide that you're using feature flags. Tell your boss, tell your product managers, tell your stakeholders that we talked about before, just so they know the power of it. Because if your product manager doesn't know that they can release to one customer, have them get iterative feedback, that'll change their lives. It just changes the whole way things are delivered. But with that, Matt Schillerstrom, I'm a product manager at Harness, building out our feature flag solution. And you can find me on Twitter at ShillyVanilli. There's a story with that name that I can tell another time. So, all right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Matt. All right. I think who you're up next. I'm sorry. I've been butchering your name the entire stream, and you've been so kind. So, but yeah, please take it away.
Yeah, I have another point of view, is that if you are not good at DevOps or Ops, you are just a developer and you have many developers in your engineering team, I think feature flag is a very good solution to deliver your software faster and safer without having too much knowledge of DevOps or Ops. Just need engineer, you know programming, you know code, you deliver software safe, very fast and safe. Just progressive rollouts and so on. You don't need to go to learn something like DevOps, or you have to configure a whole machine like that. You don't need to do that. Just rolling out the feature with if-else statement or annotation is all. Yeah. And for myself, for Featbit, okay. If you want to build yourself solution, feature flag solution, and you are good at .NET or you're good at JavaScript, I think Featbit is an option. You can build yourself solution based on Featbit. We are welcome this kind of requirements or this kind of things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. All right, we'll see you later. All right, so we got our last 4. I think Ben's been hanging out for a little while. So Ben, Ben, final thoughts here?
Yeah, thanks. First of all, thanks, Andrew. Thanks for hosting. Been really fun. And yeah, we've been hanging out in the private chat, talking about feature ones. My advice is, and maybe this is slightly counter to some of the other folk, I don't think you should overthink feature flags. If you're new to them and you're thinking of bringing them on to your project, I think just don't think it's this big deal. Try them out. Start small. Start in a small team. See if they work for you. And if they do, then think about it. Think about the naming conventions. Think about like who it touches. Think about all this sort of stuff. But the most important thing from my point of view is don't overthink it and don't make it this kind of like big deal, because it's simplest. It's really not. And then there's a load of my colleagues who are going to kill me, but OpenFeature.dev is the most important thing for me to send people to. I think that's like where we need to be as a group, and I love being part of that community. Other than that, github.com/flagsmith, but github.com/open-feature or OpenFeature.dev is my parting shot. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Bye, Ben. All right, Mark, it's over to you.
Yeah, it's hard to think of something that hasn't already been said. I think the main thing is feature flags give you a lot of power and give you a superpower, really. But with great power comes great responsibility. And so I think they still don't mitigate the fact that you need to write tests, and you should be writing integration tests and unit tests, and test different cases where the flag's on, the flag's off, test the defaults, that kind of stuff to really ensure that your software is rock solid when you deploy. So yeah, that's not too spicy. Write tests. Let's see. As far as Flipt, you can find us flipt.io is our website, flipt_io or flip-io, depending on the social media network you're on and which handle is available at the time. Check us out. We're self-hosted, open source, run anywhere, support like 8 different databases and Git and cloud buckets and all that good stuff. So
amazing. Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Bye, Mark. All right, and Thomas, the enviable, non-enviable position of having to provide the last piece of advice. What do you got?
I mean, it's an hard one, but I will say that think about your organization and convince everyone in your organization to use feature flags, because it's also great when you reach a point where product managers are on board and it's not just a techie thing for people. So yeah, that's where I think you will be successful, is when everyone in your company is around feature flagging and understand what is the value of using them. And when it comes to what I'm doing, so I'm creating Go feature flag. That is a super simple feature flag solution. So if you want to try and test feature flagging, I think it's probably one of the easiest one. You don't have anything to set up, and compared to most of the vendors that are here today, I'm not building any SDKs. I'm only relying on OpenFeature. So if you want to try OpenFeature, it's also a great opportunity to start with Go feature flag. Maybe not as good as most of the vendors here, but you will have a super nice experience using the OpenFeature standard. So
amazing.
Yeah, that's for me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Thomas. All right, bye, Thomas. All right, let's pull Thomas off. And Terene, I'm going to pull one thing on because I just got this shared and I got to throw this up just because I feel like it needs to be the last thing that comes up on this screen, because I love doing silly things. And apparently we are all about silly things. Let me pull it up on here. Feature wand is a thing. Domain has been we are as an industry just having so much fun, and this is really what this whole thing is all about. I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I gotta hide this now, and then I gotta hide my screen somehow. Stop screen share. Let's go #feature wand. Amazing. So we're almost at the end. I'm going to give a chance for everybody to kind of come up quickly on the screen and wave goodbye in just a second. So don't run away quite yet. I know we're a couple minutes over. But a couple things that I want to say. First one, thank you all, you out there in internet land, and all of you down here in my bottom bar where you live on my computer screen. Thank you all for being here. we had over 200 people that have streamed, that have been here at one time. So like we're currently sitting at like 175 people are like actively live watching us right now. I'm sure we've had a few hundred more that have kind of come in over the last 90 minutes. So thank you all for bringing in your communities as well. I think this is amazing. Different companies, same team. We're here, we're showing this, we're embodying this in this world. So thank you everybody that's been here and provided questions as well. If you want to if you want to like clip some of the spicy takes that you heard today, you'll be able to do that soon because this is going to be live on the OpenFeature YouTube channel in perpetuity. And if you're like, I want to try out that platform that I heard about, but I cannot find it on the internet. Googling is hard right now and ChatGPT can't find it. Don't worry, I'm here for you. All of the links for all the people and their social handles and their companies and all the rest of these things is going to be in the chat description below this video after this is all done. Stay tuned to all these channels, not just the OpenFeature channel, but the Flipt channel, the Featbit channel, the Go Feature Flag channel, the Split channel, the Flagsmith channel, the Unleash channel, the Harness channel, the Dynatrace channel, the Growthbook channel, the ConfigCat channel, the Statsig channel, and the Vexilla channels, because there's lots of cool stuff that's coming out. Feature flags are freaking awesome. And you should check out more of them and check out what all of these amazing companies are doing. And of course, come and check out what DevCycle is doing as well. We love it. We're here for it. And yeah, let us know if you want more of this. Throw it in chat right now. If you're here watching this, let us know if you want more of these super streams. Throw it in the chat. Say like, I want more of these. I would come and tune into this again. Let us know that you want more of this. And I think we as a community are really willing to kind of try and make that happen. So with all that said, Tyranny, I'm hoping that we can pull up everybody just one last time for everybody to get a chance to wave farewell before we actually kick things off. So throw that wave in there, everybody. Give the wave goodbye to everybody. Love it. I love it. We're just pulling people on and off. We got to just pull some people off, Tyranny. You can pull me off, Tyranny. There you go. There we go. All right. Tyranny's behind the scenes and she's like, why did you make me do this, Andrew? This is a terrible idea. But it was a terrible idea. But that's it for now. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being on the stream. We will be back with way more in the future from all of us to all of you. Flag on, feature flag on. Enjoy the world of feature flagging, and we will see you next time. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks so much for hosting, Andrew.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye, thank you.